I'm not going to sit here and say there's no way she's going to get back to the breast. I've seen amazing things happen. I've seen kids do that. I've seen kids who've never latched, and one day they latch, and you're like, oh my God, right? So that...
It's making me cry. I don't even feel,
I saw those tears rolling.
I know.
Welling up in your eyes.
Why?
It's okay.
I know. Hi, lovers and friends. We are at the Kindred Space in LA to fix my boob problem. We're hoping to do that. So, in essence, when Zaya was born, I was able to breastfeed and I produced a lot of milk. I started pumping right away. And even though we were breastfeeding a lot, I just noticed that it wasn't Zaya's favorite, definitely wasn't mine because of the pain. And eventually, 2 months later, Zaya just stopped latching altogether. And so I just went to pumping, which felt like the normal thing to do. And even though pumping was painful and I missed the breastfeeding element, because I produced a lot of milk, I just didn't feel like I had a problem. And recently, I'm coming up to my 1 year, well, it's not my 1 year, Zaya's first birthday, and I have the question of, am I going to continue to make milk or am I going to stop? And if I am honest, if I have to continue the way that I am, pumping multiple times a day with it still being something painful and kind of missing the bonding element, I just don't know if I have the stamina. So I came here to see if we can make our situation better. So it doesn't hurt to ask, and that's what we're here to find out. So wish us luck. This video is sponsored by Squarespace, an amazing one-stop shop for entrepreneurs and creatives to get out what's in their brain out into the world in a beautiful, customizable, optimized, diverse way. So whether you need a website, you have a mailing list, you have an online store, you have a members only community, Squarespace is an amazing tool that we have been using for the past 5 years of our business. Yeah. We actually have to buy a domain through them for shared entertainment, so we change our emails, remind me. Okay. And if you are in the same boat and you're buying a domain or a website right now, you can get 10% off your purchase with Squarespace when you go to squarespace.com/shanbooty. You can also get 2 weeks free, no credit cards required, to play around, see if you like it. And if you like what you've made, go to squarespace.com/shanbooty, get the 10% off.
Yeah, go get it.
This is my first time somewhere like here, Kim.
This is your first time somewhere
like here? Yes, to the point that I don't even know what this is.
Well, the kids call it the midwife's house.
Okay.
When the little kids come, they're like, we're at the midwife's house. Sometimes the kids are like, can we stay here? And it's a birth center. It's a birth center. Kindred Space LA is a birth center, and where we are right now is our classroom. And so we do our birth classes in here, or anything class related or like group related we do here.
It's gorgeous. The whole space is gorgeous, and the energy is just perfect.
Oh,
my mom is a labor and delivery nurse, and so I've just always been familiar with just the hospital. Mm-hmm. And when I was giving birth, I guess I just never thought it was a thing. Mm-hmm. I was just like, yeah. You go, you pop out a baby. No, I know.
Shucks.
I would just to come here because my experience was uneventful. Mm-hmm. I had a good birth because I had babies, but I don't have like warm feelings. I don't remember anybody's name. I have no idea who birthed my baby. So when you're going to the phase of, okay, now you have the baby, it's like, well, if I didn't have support then, I don't really have a support system now. When I saw you speak, I thought, I wonder if it's too late to ask for the kind of help that you guys offer. Mm-hmm. And I reached out recently. That was months ago. It took me this long to even actually reach out and get that help. Mm-hmm. Because you feel like, I can get by, I'm getting through, and when it comes to milk production, I produce. And so a lot of people will tell you, well, if you produce that's the end of the story. Mm-hmm. And the conversations around the fact that it's been uncomfortable for me, that I've had constant yeast infections on my nipples, and that I have a baby who won't latch anymore, I feel like those tend to feel like, well, you're producing, so that's fine. Mm-hmm.
So everything gets dismissed.
Yes.
Like it's just a whole bunch of dismissal.
Yes.
Yeah. I hear that.
Or deprioritization. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, well. And then especially now that she's coming up to a year, and that's where I guess I'm at really right now, where, okay, well, I've made it through. I do it 6 times a day. It hurts every single time. People who say, you're not supposed to feel anything, they don't feel what I do. And now I'm like, okay, am I going to continue on this way, or am I going to stop because this is majorly inconvenient? I don't want to, because I enjoy being able to feed my kids. And she's cool with milk. It's my 2.5-year-old, number one customer. She loves my milk.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, she could drink it day, night, and evening. She
amazing.
prefers steak over breast milk, but
I like steak too. I've been off of breast milk for a really long time. Yeah, awesome.
I think day one, I was pumping and breastfeeding at the exact same time.
So first of all, who told you to start pumping immediately?
I don't know if anybody told me to. I know no one told me not to.
Yeah. First of all, back up. Before even the birth, I always want parents to take a prenatal breastfeeding or prenatal body feeding or prenatal lactation class. And why is because once you give birth, you're kind of on the job training. If you don't have any information prior to, you're trying to figure it out in the moment. And that's where a lot of people kind of give up, because it's just too hard.
Yeah.
Unless it works like that, if you're having any hiccups, you don't even have the knowledge beforehand to know this is a hiccup. I can get through this. I may need to call somebody. I might need to get more help, but I can get through this. So that's number one. And studies have shown for probably over 30, 40 years that education on breastfeeding in the prenatal period is the most effective. And it's one of the biggest ways we can help people be successful. One of my favorite videos from Global Health Media is called Self-Attachment. And it actually shows that our babies are born with the perfect reflexes to attach to the breast, just like any other mammal. So basically, if you get a newborn infant on your chest, skin to skin, which is still attached to the cord, ideally, they're going to come right on the chest. Within that first hour after birth, they're going to start searching around to attach to the breast. And all their newborn reflexes are designed for them to do that.
You keep the umbilical cord on for an hour after they give birth?
Longer than that, most of the time.
What? What?
Yeah, it's called delayed cord clamping and cutting.
Oh.
But out of hospital, so that all the studies show that keeping the cord attached, not cutting it right away. Put it to you this way: when you cut the cord immediately after birth, there's still about 1/3 of your baby's blood volume left in your placenta. When the baby is on the body, eventually, the first thing the baby will do after birth, their most important thing, is to breathe in their lungs, through their lungs. So they're getting oxygenated blood through their cord prior to being born. And once they come out, they start using their lungs, right? They start crying, they gas, they do different things to get their lungs to open. And the fluid gets pushed out, and they have to get their breathing together, and then they'll work on infant feeding. Then they'll work on breastfeeding or lactation or body feeding. I'm calling it all those different names because some people don't identify with this part of their body as their breast. They prefer chest, so we have chest feeding. But lactation is kind of like a good catch-all, and it doesn't kind of like gender the experience. But now it's kind of like we're learning, the way that it works a little bit in reverse. Because as breastfeeding became more understood to be an important factor in infant health and in maternal health as well, we kind of made it like you had to get real serious about it, right? Like you got to get the perfect chair, you got to get the perfect freaking pillow, you got to buy all this stuff to make it work. You got to get the perfect pump to make breastfeeding work, and actually you don't need any of that stuff. And many times, here's the rub, those things get in the way of just normal breastfeeding. Mm-hmm. So for you started pumping right from the beginning. You did not have to do that, because your body is going to make milk simply because, not just that your baby was born, but because your placenta came out. Mm-hmm. So what happens is when you're pregnant, your body starts making colostrum, which is the first milk for the baby, by the time you're 13, 14 weeks pregnant. Most women don't even know that their body has colostrum, mm-hmm. because it's not really a noticeable change in your breasts, but it's there. It's a part of pregnancy. Colostrum will get made whether you know it's there or not. And so with the education, I get to tell pregnant people that. And then their number one fear, will I make food for my baby immediately gets dispelled when I tell them in their pregnancy, you already have it in your breast right now. You don't even know it, but it's there.
What I liked about pumping, I'm kind of on the fence for the idea of it, if I would recommend it even somebody else, because what it allowed is, one, to not feel like it was me alone. So there was a bottle opportunity for somebody else and for the father to bond, or anybody who else was in the house. And two, I travel a bit for work. So I knew I would have enough milk in the freezer for her if I ever left. And I had enough milk for my other baby too.
Sure.
So there was like positives to it. But
well, I'm not saying that pumping is like the devil or that you shouldn't have done it. But I'm saying that when you start, what I want to set up for you is that your body is made to produce, when you give birth, right? You already have the colostrum in your breast. Great. You give birth and then you birth your placenta. And then that changes your hormones. The placenta being born tells your body, we can make that breast milk now. But it's going to take a couple of days for it to come in, right? And that's fine. And then all the while, your baby ideally is nursing frequently. And then when the mature milk comes in, day 2, day 3, day 4, they get the mature milk. And then your body regulates the amount of milk your breasts are going to make based on how much your infant is nursing. So whether it's through a pump or through a baby or both, your supply is going to get based off of how much you're like demanding the milk, you're taking the milk out. So because you were taking out milk and also feeding your baby, your body regulated to making enough milk for 2 babies essentially. So even though that sounds wonderful, it can also be a problem.
Okay, hold up real quick. I know you guys have been watching this for a second, but I gotta say, we gotta give a shout out to the sponsor of this video, Squarespace.
Now, we have been partnering with Squarespace for a couple of years, using them for double that time. Now they have got some new features that I want to tell you about, Jared.
Tell me.
The Fluid Engine. The Fluid Engine is a next-generation website design system from Squarespace. It has never been easier for anyone to unlock unbreakable creativity, drag and drop, customizable, fluid design.
Oh,
Let's
I like that.
Go. Flexible website templates, we know about that. Custom merch. So it's a place that people have gone to sell their stuff forever. Now you can get custom merch there. Good to know. Good to know. Easily sell your custom merch and create a passive income stream that engages your audience and scales your brand. Design your products and production, inventory, shipping, all handled for you, saving you time, money, and effort. You can also do appointments now, which I actually had a system. This is all, I'm reading this for the first time. I need this. I didn't know about these features. So they now have appointments. So accept appointments on your Squarespace website. I have a third-party system that I pay to use. Canceling that subscription right after we do this. Go to Squarespace and do that there. They offer online or in-person private sessions that people can schedule right there with you. Workshops, group classes, so much more. I got to read the rest of this. So yeah, y'all go to Squarespace too to find out how they can change your life. They just changed mine in this ad read.
Yeah, Squarespace is the next thing, or it's the thing.
The thing. Yeah. It's our thing.
Yes.
It could be their thing too. All they gotta do is go to squarespace.com/shambooty, get 10% off the purchase of a website or domain. Say it one more time, babe.
Go to squarespace.com/shambooty to get 10% off a website or a domain.
The reason why she stopped latching is the flow was aggressive.
Exactly. Can we talk about that?
Yes.
Yeah. So again, a lot of people struggle and worry about not having enough milk, human milk for their babies. And they think like, wow, if you have too much, that's great. Or, and like you said, people will kind of dismiss you and say, well, you have a lot of milk, so that shouldn't be a problem. Or why are you concerned? But having oversupply can cause a lot of problems, like a baby's not wanting to latch. Like, it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
If I was to take I refer to it like, what's that, like a beer bong? I've never done one, but I really do want to do one, but I've never done one. And it's like, don't they like kind of pour the beer down your throat and you're just like, right?
Yeah.
That's how it goes?
Yes.
That's how it is when she's nursing on breast or have like too much milk.
Yes.
And so like, could you do a beer bong every time you wanted to have something to drink? Would you want to do it that way? No. it's not comfortable. It's not normal, right? And so she was very smart. She protected herself by saying, like, that doesn't work for me. You're going to have to give it to me another way. So because of the oversupply, she was getting kind of like overwhelmed with the milk. It could be the flow. The flow can be overwhelming. It can cause coughing, choking, spitting, sputtering, vomiting. And it's just really uncomfortable, and babies are really smart. Like,
Did my pump train it to come out like that fast?
No, you have oversupply. So if you're making more milk than, you kind of need, then you just have a lot. So it's just coming out fast. It's also, second baby, right? Mm-hmm. So sometimes, I would like to say most of the time our breasts get more efficient each baby we have. So maybe you didn't have the fast flow with the first baby, but second baby comes along and you're pumping. Your body's like, I know how to do this. I know how to make milk. I know how to like get it out. And it's just doing it,
No, I refer to it as like a circus sprinkler. When the milk comes down, it's only going to last for a minute, and then it comes into a more steady flow. But if you first latch, it's a little bit dry, and then once that milk comes in,
it's just like pow,
and then out of multiple different directions. And so she'd pop off, and then it would start spraying her in the face like this. Then she'd start crying, and then I'd have to try to soothe her to get her to come back on the breast to trust it again.
Yeah, exactly.
And we had an experience in the airport, and that was just the day that she said, I don't ever want to see these tits again.
Yeah,
and she meant it.
She mad at your titties.
She meant it.
I know. They were being ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? It was like too much going on. It's okay. It's okay. It was a lot. But you got this. Yeah, you got this. So, another way, sometimes that can happen. Sometimes people without the extra pumping can just have oversupply, or they can have what we call like a letdown or a forceful milk ejection reflex. And, but at the end of the day, one of the things I would have done with you is just had you do different positions. Well, first of all, I would have you calm down on the pumping. I'd have you kind of tamp down. I wouldn't even want you to go cold turkey on the pumping, because that could cause mastitis, plugged ducts, all that kind of stuff,
which
right?
I had in it wasn't, I guess, the extent of mastitis, but for the first month or 2 months of breastfeeding, if I missed a pumping session, I would get a lump and a fever.
Oh yeah, well, that's called mastitis, and you can manage it typically without taking like antibiotics or something, but that's what you had.
Is it too late for me?
Well, too late for what? What are you asking?
Is it too late to have a pain-free experience that includes her breastfeeding?
I don't know the answer, but what I would say is some of the ways that you can kind of encourage her is you can,
should I let it go? Is it a narcissistic thing to even want?
Just to have her suckle on your breast as opposed to giving it to her in the bottom.
I think there's a bit of like one, just for sustainability, because maybe I wouldn't do it as much. It would just be, when on occasion when she wanted after a year. And two, I wouldn't have to lug around my bag of pumps all the time. Which would be nice on occasion if we're just going somewhere quick, that I wouldn't feel like if I forget my pumps, my baby has nothing to eat.
Yeah.
But I also, I think selfishly I do just desire that feeling, and knowing I'll never have another baby again. I'm just like,
I don't believe that, but anyway, go ahead.
Well, he had a vasectomy, so
they don't always work, which means you're probably having more sex. So I'm just saying.
We're pretty certain that it's it's not coming back around. So.
Well, I mean, that's the hard part. It's like you've kind of made a finish line, or you've kind of like, this is kind of like a finite experience that you guys have decided. So now, of course, you're having like, you're kind of trying to like, well, let me see if I can get back some of the things that I didn't get and that I wanted to have before I could say that I was kind of like done.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think that honestly that's something that you just want to reconcile with yourself. And I think over time you'll know the answer. You may not know it now. If you should give up or if you should stick it out. But what I can say is some of the things that I would do to encourage her to get on the breast is I would try when she's not awake when she's sleepy or, sleeping or going to sleep. I would try when she is, another great place to try is just taking a bath with her and just having your breast, obviously you're in the bath exposed and she's in the bath. And it's something, I don't know what happens in the water. Sometimes it's almost like a rebirth. And you guys can just be in the water together. And sometimes babies will latch, in the bath. I mean, that's one of the things that I really encourage people to do if they really have a baby that's having a hard time latching, is kind of just let's go into the water together and let's just kind of see what happens. And sometimes magical things happen like that. I don't think it's narcissistic for you to want to try, because it's not anything that's hurting her. But I think it's difficult when you have a baby that is not interested in latching, because if you're trying to force them to latch, that doesn't feel good.
Right.
And so one of the things you can think of is, and I'm just going to say this and I don't want it to discourage you, but one of the things people say is as long a time has gone for the baby not latching is about how long it will take to get them to latch. So
that's been about 6 months.
So, and then also it's stages. So one, she has to be comfortable being at your breast before she's going to latch on it. So if she's already like looking at your breast and like, oh no, just like get those things away from me, then she has to get to the place where she can just feel comfortable being right here.
She can be there. It's literally as soon as they come out. Like even if I just have her here, but I also acknowledge too, and we talk about this, how he will say like, I miss your breasts, because I have to wear a bra at all times. My nipples are so sensitive. Mm-hmm. And my mom was even saying this, a part of it too, is that when she was breastfeeding, I would be bracing myself for the pain. So she would feel my body tense up.
Right.
So that's like, I have to wear bras all the time. And if I do go in the bath with them, I have to wear a swimsuit, because if they rub or touch my nipples at all, it's so painful.
Well, I think we have to understand that whatever's going on, that's not normal. When you're pumping and you have had an ongoing yeast situation, honestly, you should be replacing your pump parts frequently, meaning the stuff that's touching your breast should be replaced every week.
What do you mean replaced? Like thrown in the garbage?
Uh-huh. And every week you should get new. Anything that touches your breast should be replaced. You should also really...
Why can't I just wash it?
Because it's not going to get rid of... You're reinfecting yourself. So the yeast can live on those parts. And then when you use it again, you're just kind of aggravating the situation. So you can sterilize the pump parts. Only the parts that touch your breast I'm talking about. Sterilize them once a day. That's what's recommended to get rid of it. And once a week, change them out. So another thing is, if you have, let's say you are nursing, you are putting the baby to the breast. If you have thrush, we have to treat the baby too. We have to treat the inside of their mouth. There's different ways we can do that. Often you can get a medication from a pediatrician, but I have other little tips and tricks that we'll do to get the baby treated as well. So that's why sometimes it just never goes away, because people don't have all the information they need to help it go away. And they kind of keep reinfecting. Moms and babies can keep reinfecting each other, It sounds so terrible, and then your pump parts can get gnarly.
This is why people quit.
And this is also why there are people like me who are lactation consultants who just love this, and we it kind of feels like detective work when we're doing it, because you kind of have to, that's so cute. You kind of have to get the whole story and put all the pieces together to figure out how people got to where they are. Yeah. So, if anyone in your audience is having issues, concerns, troubles, they should reach out to a lactation professional. And I mean, it's fine to talk to your mom or talk to your sister or people who have breastfed, but oftentimes you need somebody who this is what they do for a living, because it's not everybody's experience is the same, and we have tons of information, too much information.
Yeah, and I think to your point, it's did I have somebody teach me the football hold and the cradle? Yes. Did she latch in the hospital? Yes. Did she have enough milk? Yes. Mm-hmm. But that wasn't the end of my story.
Exactly. And it is kind of whittled down to only those things. And what's interesting is that, things change. I mean, for however long you choose to do this, there's going to be different challenges and new experiences throughout the whole breastfeeding journey. So it's great to have people that can check in with you at wherever you're at in your journey. It's very hard not to look at your baby. She's so cute. Yes, I'm talking about you. I'm talking about you. You're very entertaining. But at the end of the day, I think if you're, I think to your point that sometimes there is a time period where you might want something a little bit more than your daughter does. Because if you look at her, she's great. She's fine. And she don't care if she latches onto a boob. She don't care. She's happy. She's living her best life. And I think that if, whatever you decide, I want you to also give yourself space for potentially not meeting that goal, right? Like give yourself space for potentially not meeting a goal that you wanted to meet, and give yourself space for the grieving that might come along with that, right?
Yeah.
Because if you decide, one, you don't have to decide anything right now. You can do whatever you want. You can try, you can do all the things. And I'm not going to sit here and say there's no way she's going to get back to the breast. I've seen amazing things happen. I've seen kids do that. I've seen kids who've never latched, and one day they latch. And you're like, oh my God, right? So that...
It's making me cry. I don't even feel,
I saw those tears rolling.
I know.
Welling up in your eyes.
Why?
It's okay.
I know. It's just misty in here. It's a little humid in here. Got some face humidity.
Yeah, that part. I mean, that's exactly what I mean. And maybe it will be helpful if you just say, come to some sort of peace with it even before you make a decision if you're going to try again or not, right? That's so much a part of mothering, so much a part of parenting. It's just there's so many things we have to make peace with. There's so many things that we have regrets. We have things that we wish had gone one way, but they actually went another way, And then how do you kind of keep living? How do you keep kind of taking care of yourself and your family? So I will also say that you're not alone.
Well, you have been incredible and obviously a well of information. And you suggest that people go to see a lactation expert and call them. Some people get the benefit of actually getting to call you or getting to come to this space. Mm-hmm. How can people engage with the Kindred space?
I think the main thing is you can always people can go to our website, and if they want to contact us, there's a way that they can send an email. If they want to come here to give birth, we have virtual interviews that we do every week, and so they can sign up for that, and for free of charge. They'll get a whole rundown of how our space works and if they're eligible and things like that. And then if they want to move forward, then we end up making individual virtual interviews with either myself or Allegra, the co-owner and co-founder of Kindred Space LA. I've been working in lactation for 32 years, and I really do love it. I loved nursing all my kids for a long time. I mean, it wasn't always super fun, but I appreciate that relationship. So I would say that my biggest advice would be you can reach out to Kindred Space LA. Absolutely, we'll get you in touch with the right people. But also find a good lactation consultant if you're having problems, if we're not in your area. Yes, there's virtual visits. Those are great. You can find a good lactation consultant by going to ilca.org. So it's ilca.org. And they actually have a feature where you can find a lactation consultant in your area. And I would definitely recommend that as well.
Beautiful. Thank you, Zaya. You did it.
Ooh, baby, make me touch your body. Don't stop till you got my body. Me, I like the way you touch my body. Me, I like